of us. So please feel free to be prepared. If you have any questions, hold on to them if you can until the very end. But what I'd like to do is, if we could get started here, just do a couple of introductions here right now, because there's some people that really took some time out of their day to come here, and we're really grateful for that. But first of all, as I said, my name is Dave Wiederzak, Division Head for Career and Tech here at Rolling Meadows High School. I'm also involved with the Project PAC on site with Mr. Jarasek, and he's going to be here in just a moment to talk to you a little bit. And then also, if you wouldn't mind, we can go through the order right now, starting with Mr. Lundin, if you'd like to introduce yourself and give us a little background about yourself.
Yeah, my name is Michael Lundin. I'm an architect. I'm a principal with Leggett Architects here in Chicago. And I lead many of our higher education projects, specifically colleges and universities. Some of you might be aware of, like Harper College or Oakton or College of DuPage and others. We have 6 studios in the Midwest area, and probably about 80 total in our firm, most of those being architects. We have about 20 here in Chicago. And we work on K-12 schools, colleges, universities, healthcare, train stations, hotels, other commercial projects. So I'm excited to be here. I've been an architect for close to 30 years. So I'm happy to share my thoughts with you today.
Thank you.
I'm Mike Skolstad, Vice President of Trend Building Services. We're a local company here in Schaumburg, and we are a renovation company, twofold. We do renovations of hotels, commercial properties, commercial build-outs, and then we have another entire division that just does work orders for when they come in. From some of our customers call, and something as small as fixing the door, hanging a fan. So it's a dual company.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Jarasek, you're up.
Yeah. Yep. Mr. Jarasek. I'm actually the practical architecture and construction teacher now, the instructor. I've got over 20 years experience in related fields, the last 10 in property maintenance and management and construction. I've run facilities. I've done full gut rehabs of residential buildings in Chicago, and actually got my start in technical theater, building sets, doing everything from lighting and sound to props work and all that. So that was kind of my introduction way back in the day to the trades. And I've been teaching or working with the district for 3 school years now. And this is, my 3rd year in the PAC program.
Perfect. Thank you. And last but not least, Gavin, you there?
Yeah, my name's Gavin Gordon. I'm a junior at John Mercy High School. I'm a PAC student. My teacher is Mr. Jarasek, and I'm interested in going into the construction trades.
Perfect. Thank you. And thank you all for taking time tonight. Again, this is so important that we spend this night every year to talk about career pathways district-wide. But before we get going, I want to talk to everybody in the audience here that maybe isn't familiar with District 214 and give just a brief overview of what career pathways are, and specifically related to architecture and construction, because here in our district, we really have an amazing program. And this page that I have up on the screen that I'm sharing with you now talks about the pathway. And if you're not familiar with our school district, you need to look at your school differently when you come to school in District 214, because you're not only taking your fine arts and your consumer ed and your PE and your science, math, and social science and English, but you're also taking classes alongside of those so that you can kind of study and figure out what it is you may want to do after graduation. And we're just as proud for you to say, I tried something here and maybe it wasn't for me, or like Gavin, you fell in love with it, and because of that, you confirmed what you want to do after graduation. So within this book that I'm showing you right now, this is published on our district website, and the next slide you'll see exactly where it's at. But all of our career pathways at 214 have a guide that help you understand what it is you'll need to do from your freshman year to the year you graduate. This one, the last one I just showed you, is in regards to if you have an interest in architecture. And this one that I'm going to show you right here, the last page, is regarding building trades. And we're going to talk about that a little more in depth tonight. Mr. Jarasek is, as he said, the lead instructor at our PAC site, and he'll talk to you more about what the PAC program is for those of you junior and senior year that want to go off site and actually build a house from the ground up, or remodel a house from the ground up, whichever way you want to look at it. But we're going to talk about that tonight. But before we get going, I thought it's really a great opportunity, even for us as teachers and students, to have Mr. Lundeen and also Mr. Skulstead here to talk about after graduation and after you get that experience and maybe that degree or you work in the field, what it's like. So if it's all right, what I'd like to do right now is, if it's possible, Mr. Lundeen, you're first up, if that's okay.
Sure.
Can you talk? Yeah, can you talk to us a little bit more about a typical day in your firm and what you do, and some of the relevance and your education and what your day looks like and what your career looks like?
All right. Well, let me kind of first just start off with my education. And I attended U of I at Chicago. It's also known as UIC. It's in Chicago, just outside the Loop. And at the time I went there, they had a 5-year program. Most colleges and universities now have 4+2 programs. So mine was a 5-year, and then after that, I had to do 3 years of internship, and then I could take licensing exam. As far as a typical day, most of my days I work in the office. We are flexible, and we do allow people to do some work from home, but some of my work is out in the field. So if we're building a project, I'll need to go out and do field inspections of projects. So whether that's a school or some other construction project. But most of my days start off with being in the office, meeting with my team. We usually have 3, 4, 5, sometimes as many as 8 working on a project, and to figure out where we're going on the project and who's drawing what, who's maybe meeting with the client, what do we have coming up in the upcoming weeks as far as presentations. Various times I'll lead meetings with owners for design projects. At times we'll put together renderings and we'll work on Revit, or we'll work on SketchUp or other different types of software, putting together presentations. A little bit more background about me. I joined Leggett Architects a little over 30 years ago, and I've been leading higher education projects, which is colleges and universities. And what's really cool about that, me being able to focus on one type of project, is it allows me to really understand, what goes on at colleges, whether it's in their student services or science labs or health sciences like nursing and so forth. It allows me to focus on that learning environment when I work. Anything else there, Dave, you'd like me to cover?
Oh, no, thank you so much. And you said you've been there for 28 years.
Actually, more than that. It's almost 32, actually.
Oh, well, congratulations. Congratulations. Well, thank you for that information. I think what we're going to do is, Mr. Skulstead, if you could talk a little bit about your experiences, because you're very different. Mr. Lundeen is an architect, and you come from a different line of work. If you could talk about your typical day and some of the things you experience and what you see or recommend, could you talk to us about that?
Yeah. So our company, Trend Building Services, it seemed like it'd be a company that, Chuck, maybe you would have worked for in the past. I mean, we do a lot of renovations, renovating apartment complexes, homes, kitchens, remodeling. During we branched out quite a bit during COVID. The types of requests that was ringing our phone was a little bit more of a residential, because I guess people were home a lot and looking to redo things. But we've been in business since 2007. Started this business when everybody else was going out of business, and just kind of grew from there. We started in the apartment complex business, primarily as a painting contractor. My background has been in painting my whole life. My father was a painter, and after I graduated from Illinois State in '87, I went to work for Baxter Healthcare for 4 years, and then my father was going to be let go from his paint job, and so I said, let's start a business, and that's what we did. So that's how we got our start. And then in 2007, I broke out and started to offer more services, because once I developed a relationship with the property managers and things of that nature, I realized they wanted other things to be done. So in our line of work, project-based side, that's what I'll do. I'll get a project, we'll run it. I look for, in my line of work, I look for people that can do more than one trade. Quite frankly, it's a little bit easier to try and I'm not looking for the jack of all trades, but you know, when you're doing renovation, you just got to be able to handle a number of different things. So we look more for that, and so it's a good opportunity for kids to come through and try different types of trades and see what they're interested in. Um, and then, and of course, we've got a whole other division that does work orders and small businesses. The manager of a clothing store needs a door fixed on a changing room. They've got to call somebody, and it's all small things. We never know what we're gonna run into. So that's what we offer and what we do.
Perfect. I guess one question for both of you. I know kids are always wondering this. One is if you had to predict the future, obviously you've both been in the trades and architecture for a long time. If you had to do it again or give words of wisdom to somebody that's considering this, like Gavin, or getting ready to go off, graduate, what would your words of wisdom be as far as the degree or any words of wisdom that'll help them down the road?
Well, again, the trades is often sometimes for kids who are not looking to go out and get a full scale degree. They're rather work with their hands and things of that nature. And I think it's promising for the future. I think that's kind of where things are going. You know, but getting in construction management and things that like Gavin, what you're looking for. I mean, it's a good field, and I think starting out and getting your hands dirty and figuring out what you have to do is a good way to get involved in that, so that when you are running projects, you actually have the background and experience to speak with experience on what you're encountering.
Thank you. Mr. Lundin, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I thought Michael had some really good things to add as far as getting your hands dirty, learning how things are built. I would suggest be curious. I was really interested in building things. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted, whether it was houses, whatever, I wanted to learn how to build things. So I think understanding how things go together is a great place to start for architecture. I'd say learn how to draw, whether that's on a computer or whether that's with your hand. That's something good to do. Take art classes, sign up for one of the internships at the Center for Career Discovery. We run a really great program for students that want to learn about architecture, and there we're going to learn how to design a classroom. So it really helped a student kind of understand what the day-to-day life is. The other thing I would say is, gear yourself to get through college. So, take those AP classes, try to get as many out of the way if you can, but also make sure you take your math and your science, take some art classes, things like that, to kind of gear yourself towards architecture. It's not just about doing renderings. It's not just about doing blueprints. There's so many different facets to it.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you both for that. We're going to transition over to Mr. Jarosek right now, because this is probably as valuable as what you've heard. We're going to talk about, what you can do while you're in school here. And we have a very unique program, and it's been around for 40 years or so, from what I understand. And it deals with, or it offers all our students the opportunity to go on a construction site. And being able to access that at your age, being in high school, is very rare. I don't know of any other I know of one neighboring district that offers a similar program, but outside of that, so many teachers I talk to are like, that's so great that we can offer this to our kids. So Mr. Jarosek, I was wondering if you could, again, introduce yourself, and then also talk a little bit about PAC and what your recommendations would be for classes that'll help you to go into architecture, or even consider going into the skilled trades.
Yeah, well, I mean, in PAC, we put it into practice, right? We take a set of drawings that an architect has done, and we remodel a house based on those drawings. They are pretty much full gut remodels. You can stand on the dirt in the crawl space and see the sky when you look up. So we really take these structures and completely transform them. And I think I can only echo what everyone else has been saying, is that rounding out your understanding of art and science and math, especially for these things, it really helps you see the whole big picture of the project while putting into practice everything you learned in geometry. We're doing, mid-level algebra on the site. We're thinking about physics. This house that we're working on right now has cantilevered, um, an expanded second floor. So we have to think about leverage and how everything's affected by that. So, I can only again echo, the balance of, understanding art, but also understanding math and science and putting it into practice. We use it every day. We think about triangles, we think about squares. Um, we're doing quick math with fractions every day, on the site to, again, take a drawing and turn it into reality.
Okay, perfect. And if it's all right, Mr. Jurasek, I just happened while you were talking to, maybe we can show them a little bit of what the project looks like. Are you all right with that?
Oh, absolutely. I don't have anything prepared. If you've got something.
No, I'm going to let you speak. You can always roll with it. So if you'd like to talk about it, I just thought I'd find you a kind of a rough idea of, what this house looks like. And if you want to talk through it a little bit of what you started and what you're going to work with.
Absolutely. And before I forget, I do want to remind everyone that PAC itself is a dual credit program. So we offer Triton credit if you take PAC as a junior or senior. So this is another opportunity to kind of get some of those college credits out of the way early, so that you can, cruise through an advanced program a little quicker and get into the workforce. So yeah, right now we're looking at some elevations of our current project. The existing first story we're keeping. We took down the entire attached garage that was original. We replaced that first thing as practice for framing up walls. And we just completed the second floor deck. We're adding, this was a ranch style home, a 3-bedroom ranch style, and we're adding the entire second floor to that house right now. We just started. We're looking at the west wall right there. So we just framed up that wall with those 3 tiny little windows on there. We just started on the front elevation, that south west wall with the big double window in it, and we're just going to cruise along the house towards the garage, and we're framing up walls.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you for sharing that. And we talked a little bit about credentials here in our district. If you're not aware or haven't done much research, Mr. Jurasek's hit it on the head. Is that when you take our upper level classes, that allows you to receive some dual credit, and dual credit is very very helpful for you to jumpstart your career. What that means is while you're taking classes here in 214, you also have the ability to elect to receive dual credit at the same time. And that college credit you're receiving is going to give you the ability, once you graduate, to help you excel and also determine whether that career is for you. So we try to provide those experiences along, as Mr. I believe Lundeen said, talked about internships and apprenticeships. While you're here, you also have that ability to, during the summer or possibly even in the evenings, elect to take some internships and apprenticeships so you can work with professionals within those fields, so you can, see if those ideas or if this is for you. So those are also things that we hope you take advantage of while you're here in District 214. Okay. Next, we're going to move on over to Gavin. Are you there, Gavin?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. If you could talk a little bit about yourself and what you've done for your high school career and what you'd like to do after and why you're taking, these classes.
Mhm. Well, I didn't particularly know exactly what I was interested in when I started high school. I took a autos class actually, and that gave me a pretty general understanding of like a lot of different aspects. I mean, we were working with circuit boards. I even like understood plumbing a little bit more. So just getting my hands on tools gave me a little bit more of like an understanding and stuff like that. And so I discovered I did like working with my hands a lot more, and especially then working in a classroom. And it seemed as though the second I expressed an interest in the trades at all, a million opportunities sprouted out of nowhere. And I heard about PAC through a friend of mine who was taking the class, and I talked to my counselor, and she really helped me and really advocated for me. And so I was then put in the PAC class. And I also heard about the internships that were offered. And over the summer, I took a internship with a woodworking company called Parenti and Raffaele, a local woodworking company. And from there, I also learned a lot more, just getting, not just about actually the skills but also about the what the job looks like, what the day to day looks like, you know. And then there was a trade fair, and I did that. And actually, the job I'm working now, I got from the trade fair that was offered at Forest View. Um, and from there, I'm learning about basic like upkeep and repair of buildings and facilities. And now in PAC, I've gone from not knowing anything about residential carpentry or that stuff to having what I would describe as like a very, very decent understanding for the amount of time that I've been in PAC, which hasn't been too long, saying that we're at the beginning of the school year. And I feel like what I've learned now, if that could be multiplied for the rest of the year, I would go from, point A to point F by the end of this year. And yeah, so it really feels like with the classes and opportunities that are offered at District 214 that you're really able to grow a lot more than you could trying to teach yourself or anything like that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you, Gavin. This is a story that we hear from a lot of students like yourself, and that's what really drives Mr. Jarosek and I, because it is so amazing to watch you guys start off with little or no experience, and by the time you leave, you're off doing great things. Which is my next question for you. What do you want to do after graduation? What is
I'm
this?
actually, I know I want to go into the construction trades. I'm not entirely sure which one I want to go into particularly. I'm very much gravitating towards carpentry a lot. So I think that is also the benefit of taking these classes, especially like PAC, is you can see what you enjoy more, whether you enjoy working with wires or wood more. And so you don't have to start on a career path after high school, discover you don't like something, and then you invested money or time into that field. Whereas in PAC, you get to explore all sorts of different aspects of like building a house and discover what you gravitate towards. So it helps you be more sure in your decision once you finish high school.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Gavin. I guess I want to go back for some final comments before we open up for questions here. Does anybody on our panel want to add anything to what they've heard or thought of that maybe I didn't ask before we shift? Mr. Jurasek.
Yeah, I wanted to dovetail with what Gavin was talking about is in PAC, we do get to try virtually every trade out that goes into a residential build, from rough framing carpentry through plumbing, through electric, through drywall and finish carpentry, painting, you name it. The landscaping even. We try to get our hands on everything in our environment so that the students can see if they gravitate towards one thing or another. I like your Gavin. I love wood or wires. Stealing that forever. And also through PAC, we do an OSHA 10 training. So students will exit PAC with an OSHA 10-hour certification, card carrying, OSHA trained. A lot of employers in the building trades are looking for people who've got their OSHA 10 training right off the bat. So that's a credential that we make sure our students get right off the bat so that it's a resume booster through the program.
All right, perfect. All right. Well, thanks everybody for the panel. Let's, if we can, I know some people are hesitant to ask questions. So if you'd like to raise your hand or unmute to ask a question, we encourage it. If you want to drop a question in the chat down below, I can also read that off. All I ask is that you put your name on it so I know who it's going to, and I can ask, hopefully get some feedback from you. But at this point, does anyone have any questions for either our student, our teacher, our business partners regarding architecture and construction? Always a little shy, always a little shy. Anyone have any questions? Okay, here we go. We got one in the chat box here. It says, can you talk about architecture engineering and Sherry, anything specific you want us to talk about here? Okay, so I'm guessing this is going to go to Mr. Lundin a little bit. In regards to architecture engineering, can you speak to that field at all?
Yeah, my familiarity with architecture and engineering is it's somewhat separate. Most of the when I think of engineering relating to construction, it's usually civil engineering, it's structural engineering, it's mechanical, electrical, plumbing, engineering, maybe technology engineering. And they're really kind of separate tracks. At least in our field, it is. There may very well be, it may be in residential construction, it may merge a little bit. But one of the things I find interesting as an architect is to really understand engineering. Buildings in themselves are, there's all types of products in it that are engineered. Whether it's the mechanical systems, structural systems, they all become integral to buildings. And so if you have the opportunity to learn about both at the same time, either in either of the tracks, I think that's a wonderful thing to do. But in the industry, those are typically separate. There's a few firms that are out there that do both, but the engineers or architects they would have would probably, stick more to their disciplines. The one that probably does cross over would be structural engineer. There are tracks if you go to a school of architecture where you can end up with a structural degree at the end of it. But the others being mechanical, electrical, plumbing are separate.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
This next question goes out to Mr. Jarosek. The one student or parent is asking, what percentage of female students do you have within your program in regards to PAC? And then I can also speak to architecture when you're done.
Sure. Well, we all know that 60% of statistics are made up on the spot. So I say we're pretty scant. I'd say maybe 20% overall. I've got females. I'd love to see that number grow. Um, yeah, because PAC should reflect our population, right? Um, so I think it's about on track. I think we're seeing more females this year than we did last year. And we're hoping to grow that. So, and I love to see all people in the trades because again, it should reflect what the United States looks like.
Yeah. On the backside of that, Mr. Jarosek, I do know for a fact that we see even more female students in our District 214 design program in architecture. We see a larger majority there, but we are seeing as time increases, we are seeing more students gravitate, both males and females, to the architecture field. So that's something obviously we're happy to see. Next question says, at what year in school can you start the PAC program? My son is a current freshman. I can say that PAC is generally, since it's an offsite program and requires you to take a little more time during your day, is designed for junior and senior students. The good part is that in many of our schools, you can elect to take geometry and construction as a sophomore. And that is simply taking your geometry class, which is required for your math graduation. And through it, you can elect to take geometry through learning construction and a hands-on application. So there are opportunities before you get the PAC to begin building those skills, as Mr. Jurasek said earlier. So PAC generally, though, is designed for junior and senior year. Also with the idea that senior year, if you really enjoy it, you can sign up for an apprenticeship. And Mr. Jurasek has summer apprenticeships, and also we have somebody on site now that's paid to go on site as an apprentice in their senior year and be out there with an accommodated schedule. So we have a lot of opportunities for students if they have an interest in this area. Next one up is the PAC program at Hersey High School. You want to talk about that, Mr. Jurasek?
The PAC program is district-wide, so we get students from all 6 high schools and the Academy Specialized School. So yeah, we're district-wide.
Yeah. And Laura, it says here that you have your hand up and you have a question for us if you'd like to unmute. Are you able to do that, Laura? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. A few other people are having a hard time with that as well. I don't see your question. I can't even type my question to you. Looking for your question. I'm sorry. Does the district have any offerings around green architecture? Mr. Jurasek, you want to talk on that a little bit with our design?
With green architecture, Not, I mean, I don't think we do have green building architecture program. I would love to be pushing PAC towards uh green building and looking what the next 30 years of construction looks like. So we're always trying to incorporate new materials and new technologies into our designs as we work with our architect. Um, yeah, I don't know what the different schools offer in terms of architecture, but I know that we're trying to push our program into the future.
We are, and on the side note, we are in Mount Prospect right now with our new pack home, just north of the downtown area, and working with their building and design, excuse me, group community development. We are trying to incorporate some things that are innovative, things that are pushing in that direction with our program because a lot of this has really had a great upbringing in the last 10 years. So directly, are we doing things now? No. Are we planning? Yes is the answer to that. And Scott, you're there. Um, the PEC program built your house. Interesting. That's the first time I've ever been sold that, but thank you. I hope you enjoy it. I'm just kind of curious which house that is. Um, but that is all. It's great to renovate. Okay. I guess 203 West Euclid. All right, small little Mount Prospect. I know that house. Back when I was teaching about 14 years ago, my students designed that house for you. It's a great ranch house. It's awesome. Glad you enjoy it. Question.